Bueno, parece que ya llegó el presidente. Por allá se oye. Así es que ahí les dedicamos esta canción. Ahí le dedicamos esta canción al presidente.
¡Viva México! ¡Viva México!
Soy pura mexicana, nacida en esta tierra, en este hermoso suelo que es mi linda nación. Mi México querido, qué linda es mi bandera, si alguno la mancilla le parto el corazón. ¡Viva México!
¡Viva!
¡Viva América!
¡Viva!
¡Oh suelo bendito de Dios! ¡Viva México!
¡Viva!
¡Viva América!
¡Viva!
Mi sangre por ti daré yo. ¡Ay, ay, ay! Soy pura mexicana y nunca me he dejado. Si quieren informarse, la historia les dirá que México es valiente y que nunca se ha rajado. ¡Viva la democracia y también la libertad! ¡Viva México!
¡Viva!
¡Viva América!
¡Viva!
¡Oh suelo bendito de Dios! ¡Viva México!
¡Viva!
¡Viva América! Mi sangre por ti daré yo. Y que viva la verdad también, sí señor. Soy pura mexicana y por eso estoy dispuesta, si México lo quiere, que tenga que pelear. Mi vida se la ofrezco, que al cabo me la ha dado, y como buen soldado yo se la quiero dar. ¡Viva México!
¡Viva!
¡Viva América!
¡Viva!
¡Oh suelo bendito de Dios! ¡Viva México!
¡Viva!
¡Viva América!
¡Viva!
Mi sangre por ti daré yo. ¡Sí, señor! Bueno, nos vamos a despedir con esta canción que se la dedicamos a Beto O'Rourke. The one politician who has inspired me to believe once again that there are good politicians out there. Muchísimas gracias, nos despedimos con esta.
Yo sé bien que estoy afuera, pero el día que yo me muera, sé que tendrás que llorar. Llorar y llorar, llorar y llorar. Dirás que no me quisiste, pero vas a estar muy triste. Y a así te vas a quedar. Con dinero y sin dinero, yo hago siempre lo que quiero. Y mi palabra es la ley. No tengo trono ni reina, ni nadie que me mantenga, pero sigo siendo el rey. Una piedra en el camino me enseñó que mi destino era rodar y rodar. Rodar y rodar, rodar y rodar. Después me dijo un arriero que no hay que llegar primero, pero hay que saber llegar. Con dinero y sin dinero, yo hago siempre lo que quiero. Y mi palabra es la ley. No tengo trono ni reina, ni nadie que me mantenga, pero sigo siendo el rey.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you for being in this fight. Thank you for making it known how many deplorables there are out there. Because I love that fight in the Texans that I know. It's why most of my friends are from here and not from where I live in New York City. But you know what? You guys espouse what Donald Trump believes, and frankly, what Donald Trump has shown conservatives. Guys, you don't just have to take the L. You don't have to take the loss when the other side doesn't like your policy, when the other side doesn't want you to win, when the other side and their media lackeys just say whatever it is that they want. You don't have to do that. When you see a governor, a Democratic governor of a state, talking about not even late-term abortion at this point, but post-term abortion, you know what post-term abortion is, right? That means it's a baby and it's alive. But we're gonna get rid of it now. When you hear these being the policies pushed by the leading frontrunners on the other side, you have to wonder where the hell their moral compass is. Because I don't think they have one. They're fighting more for illegal aliens than they are for the American people. Why is that? Because they need their votes. They need you to be dependent on them. Their policies are not of freedom, of choice, or anything. Their policies are of dependence. They need you to need them. They need you to come back to the trough. It's why they do anything to damage the institutions of liberty, of conservatism, of freedom, of entrepreneurship that have made this country the greatest nation in the world. And you know what I love? I love seeing some young conservatives, because I know it's not easy. Okay? Keep up that fight. Bring it to your schools. You don't have to be indoctrinated by these loser teachers that are trying to sell you on socialism from birth. You don't have to do it. Because you can think for yourselves. They can't. So, again, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for believing in this country, in freedom, in America, in the Constitution. All these things the other side seems to forget, or certainly want to, because when I see the response here, when I see this crowd, I know that America is live and well, and we're gonna give them hell in 2020. Thank you very much, Texas! Thank you!
Huge thank you to Border Network for Human Rights. And of course, a thank you to the local Democratic Party and our wonderful ASL interpreters. Thank you. So I am truly honored to be here tonight to introduce our very special guest, even though he needs no introduction. We all know him because we saw him travel tirelessly to every single one of Texas's 254 counties because he wanted to hear directly from as many Texans as possible what he could do to help them make their families' lives better. We all know him because we saw him stand up for our veterans every single day that he was in Congress to make sure that they receive the care that they need because they, more than anyone, have sacrificed so much for our great country. We all know him because he showed us that it is possible to be incredibly passionate about an issue and still be able to talk and listen to each other with compassion. And lastly, we all know him because we still see him to this day stand up for our city, for our border community, never ever failing to push back on the false narrative that the border is anything but a safe, vibrant, and wonderful place to live, made stronger because of our history of welcoming immigrants. And lastly, we all know him because he is our hometown hero and our tireless advocate. Please help me give a loud El Paso welcome to our very own Beto O'Rourke.
You did good, El Paso. Let's hear it for Mariachi Femenil Flores Mexicanas. Awesome. For Ileana Holguin. And all of the amazing organizers who made this possible, whose lead we follow tonight, the Border Network for Human Rights, Annunciation House, Las Americas, Women's March El Paso, and the best member of Congress this community has ever seen, Veronica Escobar. A couple of years ago, she honored a true El Paso hero, the County Commissioner's Court, at a time that this president promised to build walls along the 2,000-mile U.S.-Mexico border. They decided to build and dedicate a new bridge that would connect our two countries. Between Tornillo and Guadalupe, they named that bridge after a heroic veteran, Marcelino Serna. More than 100 years ago, he came to this country from Chihuahua, an undocumented immigrant. And at the time that this country entered the First World War, Marcelino Serna entered this country's army. His drill instructor said, "Serna, you do not have to go. Every single man in this unit will be going to France, but not every single one of them will be coming back home, at least not alive." And Serna said, "This is my fight because this is my country." And Marcelino Serna came back the most highly decorated veteran from the state of Texas in all of World War I. The park next to this one is named for the men of Company E. In World War II, these young men formed an all-Mexican-American unit. Many of them volunteered directly from the senior high classrooms at Bowie High School. Los Osos Orgullosos. And those men served this country with honor and distinction. In North Africa, in Italy, in France, those men made a stand for this country. They brought back honor and distinction, not just to Bowie High School, not just to El Paso, but to the United States of America. And today, we honor their sacrifice, their service, and their commitment to this country. Many of them paying the full price, the ultimate sacrifice for the United States of America and their little brothers. Some of you know this story. In 1949, the state of Texas decided that it would hold the first statewide high school boys baseball championship. And under the guidance of Nemo Herrera, the Bowie Bears decided to enter that competition, though not a single member of that team had 2 pennies to rub together. Their mothers made their uniforms, the gloves with which they played, but they won the city championship. And on the road to Austin, Texas, where the state championship would be played, though their brothers served in that Second World War, though some of their brothers did not come back, at the hotels and motels and restaurants along the way, they were met by signs that said, "No Mexicans or dogs allowed." But they did not allow that to deter them or to dampen their pride or their commitment to excellence in bringing back glory and honor to this community and this country, sleeping under the bleachers next to the field on which they would compete the next day. Those Bowie Bears woke up, won the game, came back to this community, making us a little more proud, a little more grateful for who we are, deepening our understanding as Americans of what this country means to all of us. You know the story of Thelma White, who graduated in 1954 from the all-black Douglas High School here in El Paso, Texas, because that was the only place that she was allowed to go to high school in El Paso, Texas, had the audacity to try to enroll at Texas Western College and was denied entry solely because of the color of her skin. She did not allow that injustice to deter her or to dampen her spirits, enlisting the services of a little-known attorney named Thurgood Marshall. They took that case all the way to the federal courtroom of R.E. Thomason, another great El Pasoan, and together, making their stand for this community, they integrated higher education for every single American in the state of Texas. Whether it was those great El Pasoans and great Americans, or Nolan Richardson and Bert Williams, who working together wrote the ordinance that desegregated places of public accommodation in El Paso, one of the first, if not the first cities in the former Confederacy to do so. All of them made a stand together for El Paso, for this country, not just for themselves, not just for people who looked like them, not just with the generation with whom they lived. They did it for everyone, including those of us who stand here today, the beneficiaries of their courage and of the stand that they made. That is our opportunity at this moment. With the eyes of the country upon us, all of us together are going to make our stand. Here, in one of the safest cities in the United States of America. Safe, not because of walls, but in spite of walls. secure because we treat one another with dignity and respect. That is the way that we make our communities and our country safe. Aquí podemos mostrar que si queremos asegurar nuestras comunidades, necesitamos tratar cada persona con dignidad, con respeto, como merecen, como humanos. Here, in the largest binational community in the Western Hemisphere, 2.5 million people from 2 countries, speaking 2 languages, with 2 cultures and 2 histories, who come together, are joined, not separated by the Rio Grande River, forming something far greater and more powerful than the sum of people or the sum of our parts. We have so much to give, so much to show the rest of the country, and we're doing it right now. Here, a city that has been one of the safest in the United States of America for 20 years and counting, safe long before a wall was built here in 2008. In fact, a little less safe after that wall was built. We can show the rest of the country as we make our stand here together tonight that walls do not make us safer. Walls will require us to take someone's property, their house, their farm, their ranch, to build a wall at a time of record low northbound apprehensions, at a time that El Paso is not the outlier in the cities of the border. In fact, if you look at McAllen, if you look at San Diego, if you look at all points in between, the U.S. cities of the U.S.-Mexico border are far safer than the U.S. cities deeper in the interior of the United States of America. We know that walls do not save lives. Walls end lives. In the last 10 years, more than 4,000 children, women, and men have died trying to come to this country, to work jobs that no one will take, to be with a family member, to flee horrific brutality and violence and death in their home countries. And as we build these walls, 600 miles of the 2,000-mile border walled up and counting, we push them to ever more treacherous and remote stretches of the U.S.-Mexico border, thereby ensuring greater suffering and death. We stand for America, and we stand against walls. We know that there is no bargain in which we can sacrifice some of our humanity to gain a little more security. We know that we deserve and will lose both of them if we do. We stand for the best traditions and values of this country, for our fellow humanity and who we are when we are at our best, and that's El Paso, Texas. I'm glad the country's here to see us. We stand for the Constitution of the United States of America and against emergency national security declarations that would allow the president to subvert an equal branch of government, build a wall when we do not need it, 1.6 million apprehensions the first year of the George W. Bush administration, a little more than 300,000 apprehensions last year. And you know who we are apprehending? Kids, children, if they are lucky, they're there with their moms or dads. walking 2,000 miles, if they're lucky, atop, not inside of a train known as the Beast or La Bestia, surviving every manner of depredation, and those who prey on human misery. And here, at their most vulnerable and desperate moment, they want to make sure that they have found the right place. That 243 years into this great experiment and idea that is America, we will not take advantage of them. We will not send them back to certain death. We will not believe that walls can or should keep them out. Instead, we welcome them with open arms. This, the wealthiest, the most powerful country on the face of the planet, can meet this moment in our obligations to one another and be all the stronger for it. We, together, we are making a stand for the truth against lies and hate and ignorance and intolerance. We are going to show the country who we are. A president who describes Mexican immigrants as rapists and criminals. We have the chance to tell him and the country, immigrants commit crimes, including violent crimes, at a lower rate than do Americans who were born in this country. El Paso has been the safest city in the United States of America, not in spite of the fact that we're a city of immigrants, but because we are a city of immigrants. We're going to make a stand to ensure that we live up to our promise, to our potential, and to our purpose as a country. So it's not just those things that we are against and which we must stop, like this wall. It is also the things that we want to replace that with, those things which we are for. Number one, let's make sure that as they leave the deadliest places on the planet, that we make way and make room for those asylum seekers who are coming to this country. Meet our obligations under U.S. and international law and do the right thing. Two, let's ensure that no dreamer ever again fears deportation from this, their home country. Make every single one of them U.S. citizens so that they can contribute to their full potential. And their parents, the original dreamers, let's make sure that they stay here as well on a path to citizenship, contributing all they've got to this city's, this state's, and this country's greatness, and the millions who labor in the shadows, the most back-breaking work that man can invent. Let's pull them out into the sunshine. Let's allow them to live with dignity for themselves and their families. Let's ensure that their genius remains here in the United States, making us a stronger, a safer, and a more successful country by their very presence. And to the legitimate concerns about security and safety, knowing full well that the vast majority of everyone and everything that ever comes to the United States crosses through one of our ports of entry. To end the scourge of illegal drug trafficking and the trafficking in human beings, let's invest in the infrastructure, the technology, and the personnel at the ports of entry to improve our quality of life and make this a safer country. And then let's do this. The words that we use have extraordinary power. When we describe asylum seekers as though they were animals, when we refer to immigrants as an invasion, when we conflate dreamers with members of MS-13, not only are we spreading lies and committing an injustice, But the policies and the practices that follow should not surprise us. When we take little children, babies, from their mothers and fathers here at the US-Mexico border at their most desperate moment, when we put that child in a cage, turn that parent over to the Department of Justice, then to ICE for deportation, commit cruelty, tantamount to torture upon that young child, it follows the rhetoric that we use. Let's make sure that we refer to our human beings, our fellow human beings, with kindness, with respect, with dignity. Let's not be afraid of our own shadow or of who we are. Let's own this moment and the future and show the country there is nothing to be afraid of when it comes to the US-Mexico border. In other words, let's make sure that our laws, our language, and our leaders reflect our values, who we are, our experience, what we know, to do great things for this country. Because I tell you what, I know that we can do it, and I know that we must do it. The eyes of history, the judgment of the people of the future, our kids and grandkids and the generations that will succeed them are looking back at this moment to see what we do as we define ourselves and this country. I know that we have the power because I've seen it before. On Father's Day of this last year, when we learned that this president was taking kids, taking babies from their moms and dads, all of us came down to Tornillo to bear witness, to testify to our fellow Americans about what was being done in their name. And together, we were able to stop that cruel practice. As kids remained locked up in Tornillo, knowing not when or even if they were going to see that mom and dad who risked everything, including their lives for that little kid, so many of you kept vigil outside those gates to make sure that the rest of the country understood what was happening. You formed the pressure that developed the political will to put an end to it. And as of tonight, Tornillo is closed and out of business. There's not a single child there anymore. And you made it happen. And when ICE, sí se puede, sí se puede, sí se puede. On Christmas Eve, when you learned that these asylum seekers held by CBP, turned over to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, had been dumped at the Greyhound bus station in downtown El Paso, without a single dime on them, with no food to eat, with little kids who were sick and needed help and medical attention. You all came downtown on Christmas Eve. You brought your families with you. You showed the kindness and the generosity which distinguishes El Paso and will every single day going forward. So at this moment, if there's any doubt about whether together we can make a stand the generations that follow us will be grateful for, have no doubt. We have done it before. We are made of great stuff. This community produces great people. We are the example that the United States of America needs right now. Desde aquí, yo veo el futuro de este país. La promesa de este país, tan poderosa, tan positiva, y yo tengo tanto orgullo ser paseño fronterizo con ustedes. This is where we make our stand, and there's no other place I'd rather be, and no one else I'd rather do it with. I love you, El Paso. The country's counting on us. Let's do it. Love you, El Paso. Jim Ward and Emily Davis to follow. We'll see you out there.
93% of the stories are negative. No matter what we do, they figure out a way to make it negative. Like, I'll give you a quick example. When I came in, North Korea looks like it was going to war. You know that. It was going to happen, bad things. Now, you have no missile launches, you have no rocket testing, you have no nuclear testing. I have a good relationship, maybe even a great relationship. We have tremendous sanctions on North Korea, but we have our hostages back. We have remains are coming back, the remains. And our presidents have been dealing with North Korea for many, many decades, many, many decades. And on a nuclear way over the last 20, 30 years. And all I hear is, can't you move faster? You know what? I left Singapore 15 months ago. They've been negotiating for 85 years or something. So now their complaint is, what's taking them so long? I heard one of our great geniuses from a previous administration telling me how to negotiate with North Korea when they got taken advantage of like nobody I've ever seen before. So someday, with all of us, this is all of us, and those hats are beautiful, by the way, someday, true, someday, they're going to appreciate us all, and I'm going to Vietnam, to Hanoi, in the near future, 27th and 28th of February, to have another summit. And hopefully, we do as well with the second summit as we did with the first. I hope so. Now, we're delighted, and I'm delighted, to be joined this evening by the Texas leaders. You have great leaders, great people, great help to me that are at the forefront of this incredible American revolution. You know, there's never been anything like this in the history of our country. We have to understand that. There's never been. If you would say, as an example, that tonight 69,000 people signed up to be here. Now, the arena holds 8,000, and thank you, Fire Department. They got in about 10. Thank you, Fire Department. Appreciate it. But if you want to really see something, go outside. Tens of thousands of people are watching screens outside. And we were all challenged by a young man who lost an election to Ted Cruz. And then they said, you know what? Hey, you're supposed to win in order to run. By the way, I'm 1 and 1. I'm 1 for 1. Think of it. We had one election, we won. Now we're going to be 2 for 0, and everything's going to be perfect. But a young man who's got very little going for himself, except he's got a great first name. He challenged us. So we have, let's say, 35,000 people tonight, and he has 200 people, 300 people, not too good. In fact, what I would do is I would say that may be the end of his presidential bid, but he did challenge it. So I want to introduce some great people. Your governor, Greg Abbott. Greg. Where is he? Where Where's Greg? Thank you, Greg. And a great governor and a great friend of mine. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. Thanks, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Look at him in the corner. So shy. Thank you, Dan. Great job, Dan. Attorney General Ken Paxton. Thanks, Ken. And Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller. Thank you, Sid. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Ken. Great job you do. And we're especially grateful to your wonderful senators, John Cornyn and Ted Cruz. Great senators. And we have a lot of your congressmen and women. We have a lot of them. You're ready, and they're terrific, and they've been with us all the way. Pete Olson. Pete. Thanks, Pete. Thank you, Pete. Michael Burgess. Thanks, Michael. John Carter. Brian Babin. And Randy Weber. Thank you very much. We are in the midst of an economic miracle. That's what's happened. You look all over the world and you study and you see what's going on. You can look at China. We have a team right now in China. They want to make a deal very badly. Those tariffs are costing them a lot of money, and they're going into our treasury. Remember that. We're filling up with billions of dollars. And did you see I haven't been here very long, the trade deficit really went down very big this last month. And people are saying, whoa, I told you so. That's what I do. That's what I do. And we don't want China to have a hard time. Thank you. Thank you. I can only tell you this. We're going to make great deals on trade. We're going to make great deals on military. When we defend another nation that's rich, they have to help us out. Do we agree? They have to help us out. And they're doing it. They're doing it. You saw South Korea. They were paying us $500 million a year. I say, you got to do more. You got to do more. Anyway, now they're up to almost $900 million. That was like on 2 phone calls. I said, why didn't they do this before? They said, nobody ever asked. Nobody asked. You pick up almost $500 million a year. Nobody asked. We're defending rich countries. They've got to help us out, folks. They got to help us out. Sorry. And you know what? They're going to like us more, and maybe more importantly, they're going to respect us. Since the election, we have created 5.3 million new jobs, including more than 500,000 new manufacturing jobs. Remember, manufacturing was dead. They said manufacturing was dead. Previous administration, you'll never have it. You need the magic wand. That's what they said. We found the magic wand. And by the way, those numbers are small compared to what's happening, compared to all of the companies that are moving in. The unemployment. Thank you very much. The unemployment rates for African Americans, Hispanic Americans, and Asian Americans have reached the lowest level in the history of our country. Okay, thank you. Thank you. You all right? Everything okay? Please? Okay, thank you. Thank you. And women have filled almost 60% of the new jobs created last year, which were a record number. We passed massive tax cuts for working families, and we canceled a record number of job-killing regulations. That's why your oil and gas is coming back. We eliminated the Obamacare individual mandate. And to give critically ill patients access to life-saving treatments, we did something that they haven't been able to do for a long time. We passed Right to Try. Right to Try. That's an incredible thing, Right to Try. You know, we have the greatest doctors and research in the world. And if somebody was terminally ill, they travel to Asia, they travel to Europe, they travel all over the world if they had the money. If they didn't have the money, they'd just go home. There was nothing they could do. And I said, wait a minute, we have drugs in the pipeline that are showing tremendous progress. If somebody is terminally ill, let's let them have access to our drugs. Let's let them have access. And it's much tougher than you would think, but we got it. And people, you will not understand, nobody understand the life-saving effects. It's incredible what's going on. They are getting better. People are getting better that were thinking they were going to die. It's Right to Try. I love it. I always wondered why we didn't do it before. Now, the people in Texas won't care much about this, but the United States is now the #1 producer of oil and natural gas on Earth. I didn't think you'd care about that. I didn't think Texas would care about that. And listen to this. And Texas oil production is now at the highest level it's ever been. And only for the great oil professionals in the room, we're getting those pipelines approved so fast, you'll be able to practically double up on oil production, oil and gas. They're getting approved at record levels and record time. That means more money, more security, and more independence for our country. It's very simple. Another one they said could never get passed. They've been trying to do it for 40 years. We passed VA choice, Veterans Choice. So that now, rather than waiting online for 5 days, for 9 days, for 3 weeks, Where do these people come from? Where do they come from? They go back home to mommy. They get punished when they get home. Now, you really mean finish that wall, because we built a lot of it. Finish that wall. But before we get to the wall, so VA accountability and VA choice. Accountability, we couldn't fire anybody from the Veterans Administration. We couldn't fire anybody. They could treat our veterans badly, we had to take it. Now, you get rid of them. And VA choice, they'd wait online for days and weeks. They couldn't see a doctor. Now they go out, they have a choice. They get a private doctor. They have things taken care of, and we pay their bill. They've been trying to get those two things fixed for many, many decades, many years, and we got it fixed. We also passed the Farm Bill for our wonderful farmers, ranchers, and growers. We just got it passed. And that wasn't easy, but we got it passed. We had to do it. Our farmers are great. So we just got that done. Farmers, ranchers, growers. And we passed historic legislation to combat the opioid crisis. Thank you. Is there any place that's more fun to be than a Trump rally? Is there any? You know, they all said, Mr. President, we loved the tone of your State of the Union speech. Some people said it was a great speech. Some people said, really a great speech. I said, but if I ever did that in El Paso, Texas, it wouldn't work here too well. Do you agree? Nice and calm. No, that's not what you're looking for. And this is more fun. This is more fun. And we just signed groundbreaking criminal justice reform into law. Nobody thought that was going to be happening. In my address last week, I asked lawmakers in both parties to cross the aisle and join together for the common good for all Americans. Democrats have to stop being so angry. They're angry. And they've got to start being partners to keep this incredible, really, look, is this an incredible miracle that's going on? We want to keep it going. Keep it going, and it will keep going. It will keep going. There's so much to celebrate in our country. The economy, the military, so many things we've done scientifically. The world is trying to copy what we've done. They're not going to be able to do it. Not anymore. They were catching up fast. Now they're going in the wrong direction. Unfortunately, many of the Democrats in Congress responded to my call for bipartisan cooperation by instead choosing hey, look, did you ever see anything? Radical resistance. It's the radical left. But maybe it'll change. Maybe it'll change. It all has to do with 2020 and the election. But I really don't like their policy of taking away your car, of taking away your airplane flights, of let's hop a train to California, of you're not allowed to own cows anymore. You know, there are a lot of problems there. A lot of problems. But nobody's ever had this. And by the way, with us, we handle it. No president should ever have to go through what we've gone through in the first 2 years. It's a hoax, it's a disgrace, and it should never be allowed to happen again. A hoax. Just recently, as an example, Senator Richard Burr from the great state of North Carolina, he's chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and they've been investigating this Russia hoax for 2 years. Think of it. They've interviewed over 200 people. They've studied hundreds of thousands of documents and pages, and Richard just announced that they found no collusion between Donald Trump and Russia. Collusion. The fact is that the real collusion was between Hillary and the Democrats and the other side with Russia. That's where the collusion is. That's starting to make a lot more sense. But that's where the collusion is, with the Democrats and with Russia and with others. And by the way, there's also collusion between the Democrats and the fake news right here. And they know it better than anybody. Too many Democrats are focused on tearing down their opposition instead of building up our country. They're trying to impose some of the most extreme measures and policies ever put forward by our Congress. And by the way, I don't think anybody in this room wants to pay 70, 80, 90, and 95% tax. Does anybody want to pay a 90%? You know, you look at what we've done with jobs, what we've done with the economy, how low your taxes are, the lowest they've been almost from the beginning. Who the hell wants to change what we're doing now? We are a hot, hot country. Last week, they introduced a massive government takeover that would destroy our incredible economic gains. They introduced the so-called Green New Deal. It sounds like a high school term paper that got a low mark. It would shut down American energy, which I don't think the people in Texas are going to be happy with that. It would shut down a little thing called air travel. How do you take a train to Europe? You know, this crazy senator from Hawaii, They said, do you like it? Yes, I like it very much. Oh, really? How are we getting to Hawaii on a train? She didn't think about that one, but she's thinking about it. She'll figure it out. They want to take away your car, reduce the value of your home, and put millions of Americans out of work, spend $100 trillion, which, by the way, there's no such thing as $100 trillion. You have to spend $100 trillion. And remember this, no other country except us is going to do it. That's a little problem, too. While the world's real polluters, like China, would get many of our companies and factories, they just move into China, move into other parts of the world. That's the way the system works. Not going to happen, folks. Don't worry. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. 100 trillion. Let's spend 100 trillion. Let's rip down every building in New York City and rebuild it environmentally slightly better. To pave the way for socialism, Democrats are calling for massive tax hikes and the complete elimination of private health care. Many of us have private health care. That means you can stand on line for 5 days as you wait for a doctor that is not nearly as talented as your doctor. Remember, you can keep your doctor. Remember that? 28 times. You can keep. That didn't happen. Turned out to be a lie. Hey, where are the fact checkers? You know, some of the most dishonest people in media are the so-called fact checkers. 28 times. You can keep your doctor. That didn't turn out to be what he said. They're coming for your money, and they're coming for your freedom, and it'll never happen, and it won't even come close, folks. Democrats are also pushing extreme late-term abortion. Allowing children to be ripped from their mother's womb right up until the moment of birth. What's that all about? So in Virginia, the governor, he's gotten a little publicity lately. I like him. Keeps us out of the papers. I like him. I'd like to find a few more guys like this one. He almost moonwalked. His wife stopped him. Darling, darling, it would be inappropriate. I want to see somebody try and imitate Michael Jackson in the moonwalk. This would not have been a good scene. His wife saved him. Darling, this would be inappropriate. I think she was right. But the governor stated that he would even allow a newborn baby to come out into the world and wrap the baby and make the baby comfortable and then talk to the mother and talk to the father and then execute the baby. Execute the baby. Incredible. Millions of innocent, beautiful babies are counting on us to protect them, and we will. That is why last week I called on Congress with your great congressman over there. Thank you, fellas. To immediately pass legislation prohibiting extreme late-term abortion. And that certainly is extreme. Many people never even heard. I mean, did you ever hear of anything like this? Democrats must also address the double standard on full display in Virginia. By the way, that state's going to go Republican pretty soon, I'm pretty sure. Because the Democrat Party has never been more outside of the mainstream. They're becoming the party of socialism, late-term abortion, open borders, and crime. This weekend, some Democrats even proposed a measure that would force the release of thousands of criminal illegal aliens, including dangerous felons convicted of rape, sex trafficking, violent assault, and even murder, into our country. Can you believe this? Their proposal would put a hard cap on the number of illegal aliens that our brave ICE officers, we love our ICE officers, can detain and thus remove, forcing thousands of criminals to be set free into United States communities. I don't think so, okay? I don't think so. And I want to thank our ICE officers. What they put up with is incredible. And that includes Border Patrol, and that includes law enforcement, let's face it. Law enforcement, we love them. They keep us safe. In the last 2 years alone, ICE officers have made 200, listen to these numbers, 266,000 arrests of criminal aliens, including those charged or convicted of approximately 100,000 assaults, 40,000 larcenies, 30,000 sex crimes, 25,000 burglaries, 12,000 vehicle thefts, 11,000 robberies, 4,000 kidnappings, and 4,000 murders. Killings, murders. We will. If we cut detention space, we are cutting loose dangerous criminals into our country. Slashing ICE detention is the first step of many for the far left. I call them the radical left. We will never abolish ICE. They want to abolish ICE. We're never going to abolish ICE. So let me state very clearly to those pushing this ridiculous and radical agenda, I will never sign a bill that forces the mass release of violent criminals into our country. And I will never abolish or in any way mistreat our great heroes from ICE and Border Patrol and law enforcement. Never. We will always stand with those brave men and women. We'll always be with them. We're going to take care of them just like they take care of us. Remember that. Remember that. Now, I have to tell you, as I was walking up to the stage, they said that progress is being made with this committee. Just so you know, we're building the wall anyway. They say that progress has been made with this bill. Just now, I said, wait a minute, I got to take care of my people from Texas. I got to go. I don't even want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. So I don't know what they mean. Progress is being made significant. Now, what did happen is the Democrats were being hit really hard on the concept of releasing criminals into our society. That has not been playing well. So maybe progress has been made, maybe not. But I had a choice. I could have stayed out there and listened, or I could have come out to the people of El Paso and Texas. I chose you. I chose you. So we probably have some good news, but who knows? Who knows? We're setting the stage, folks. You know what it's called, right? It's It's called We're Setting the Stage. We're setting the table. We're doing whatever we have to do. The wall's being built. It'll continue. It's going at a rapid pace. The Rio Grande. It's happening. Go check it out. We proudly welcome those who come lawfully and support our values in the United States and that want to strengthen our society and help us with all of the companies moving into the United States, moving back. They left us. Now they're moving back, many of them. In some cases, maybe all of them. But they all want to come back because the United States is where the action is. Very simple. Where the action is. And it is, we're most proud of the fact. You look at the car companies, they're moving back. They're going into Michigan. They're going into Pennsylvania. They're going back to Ohio. So many companies are coming back. And by the way, that's why I want people to come in to our country, but they have to come in legally and they have to come in through merit, so they can help us build our country. Make America great again. Pretty soon, we're going to be singing, Keep America Great. Keep America great. Pretty soon, Congressman, keep America great. We'll have to switch over. Tell me, campaign's sort of starting because you have these people that nobody ever heard of. They're all running for office. I said, who is that? Well, that person was a mayor of a city that was defeated. Well, how about Beto? Beto was defeated too, right? But he suffered a great defeat. Watch what the news does tomorrow, though. They won't mention the disparity. They won't mention the disparity tomorrow. They'll say, Beto O'Rourke. That's his last name, right? O'Rourke? Beto O'Rourke had a wonderful rally of about 15 people. Now, when they get honest, when the media starts becoming honest, and maybe they will, because we've done something that's never been done before. We have suffered a totally dishonest media, and we've won, and it's driving them crazy. It's driving them crazy. It's driving them crazy, but look at them. They still come. I've never seen anything. But illegal immigration hurts all Americans, including millions of legal immigrants, by driving down wages, draining public resources, and claiming countless innocent lives. You see what's going on, folks. You know what's going on. They give you all of these phony stats. Say, oh, it's the same. It's the same. Not the same. It's a bad situation going on, and we've stopped it. We are taking out thousands and thousands of people from MS-13. We're bringing them the hell out of our country. Thousands. But if we had proper border security, including a very powerful wall, we wouldn't have to work so hard. And it would be a lot safer and a lot better. My administration is committed to ending illegal immigration while modernizing our legal immigration system, which has been in terrible shape for many, many decades, to prioritize the admission of those who can support themselves financially and contribute to our economy, people that come in on merit. Instead of random lotteries and chain migration, that's another beauty. We want a merit-based system for entry. This will improve living conditions for all Americans living here today, both immigrant and U.S.-born. Everybody's going to be happy. And we need the people to take care of these companies that are moving. Our unemployment rate, real unemployment, 3.6, 3.7, and going down. Had a little blip because of a thing called the shutdown. But remember this, went up to 4. I said, boy, that's, you know how low 4 is? Do you know anybody else, any other president would have said, please give me 4, please. We had a little blip, went up from 3.7 to 4 just quickly. But you know what? If we didn't do that shutdown, we would not have been able to show this country, these politicians, the world, what the hell is happening with the border. That was a very important thing we did. And the fact is, illegal immigration is a heartbreaking human tragedy. 1 in 3 women is sexually assaulted on the very long and dangerous journey north up to our country. Sex traffickers, these are the worst human beings on earth, exploit our porous border to sell young girls and women into modern-day slavery. You wouldn't even know that. Nobody knows that. And by the way, do you think they come in through the ports of entry? I listen to the Democrats. Let me be nice. Just say the Democrats. I won't be specific. And they say, oh, everything comes through the port. They don't do that. They drive out where there's no barrier, no wall. They make a left. Congratulations, you're in the United States. That's all. If you have 3 women tied up in the back seat of a car, you're not going through, folks, a port of entry where they do look in the back seat, at least, right? Drugs pouring through the border kills tens of thousands of innocent Americans a year, including heroin, meth, cocaine, fentanyl, so many others. They come through the southern border. We have a drug problem over the last 6, 7, 10 years like we have never had before. We can have such a big cut in the numbers, in the percentages, if we get the wall built, if we have a strong wall with other things. But we need the wall, and it has to be built, and we want to build it fast. The number of illegal immigrants crossing our borders is so large that we've nowhere to hold them. We have to build. They want buildings. They want jails. They want these people. How about the word caravan? Caravan. I think that was one of mine, but looked like a caravan. Where you have thousands and thousands of people coming from Guatemala, from Honduras and El Salvador, and they march up through Mexico. And by the way, if we didn't have walls in those areas, in some cases that we put up, in many cases where we reinforce, in many cases where our great military helped us with barbed wire, you would have people pouring in. They don't pour in. The problem is our laws are so bad that there's no way we can quickly remove them. Other countries say, get out of here. We have to bring them through a court system. We sign their names. They touch our land. We sign them up. We explain to them, please come back in 6 years for court. And only the dumbest people show back up. Nobody ever shows up. Nobody comes back in. Like 2%. They go in to our country. The good news is we have great law enforcement, and many of these people, we know where they are. And we're going to get them the hell out. But we have to change our laws. So right now, we have a backlog. You won't even believe this. Other countries don't do this. Somebody walks into our country, we bring them to court. We have now a legal, we need Perry Mason. We have a legal case. Nobody else does that. Other countries say, get out. Can't come in. You're not a citizen of whatever country. We bring them in. So listen to this. Right now, we have almost 900,000 cases. 900,000. How many judges are going to take care of? We're going to have to hire tens of thousands of judges to do that. 900,000 cases. How stupid is this? This was a system put in place by really dumb people, or people that did not have the best interests of our country at heart. And there's no place better to talk about border security, whether they like it or not, because I've been hearing a lot of things, oh, the wall didn't make that much of a difference. You know where it made a big difference? Right here in El Paso. And I've been watching where they've been trying to say, oh, the wall didn't make that much. Well, you take a look at what they did with their past crimes and how they made them from very serious to much less serious. You take a look at what the real system is. I spoke to people that have been here a long time. They said when that wall went up, it's a whole different ball game. Is that a correct statement? Whole different ball game. I'll give you another example, and I don't care whether a mayor is a Republican or a Democrat. They're full of crap when they say it hasn't made a big difference. I heard the same thing from the fake news. They said, oh, crime actually stayed the same. Didn't stay the same. Went way down. And look at what they did to their past crimes, and look at how they recorded those past crimes. Went way, way down. These people, you know, you think they'd want to get to the bottom of a problem and solve a problem, not try and pull the wool over everybody's eyes. So for those few people that are out there on television saying, oh, it didn't make too much of a difference, it made a tremendous... People from El Paso, am I right? It's fake news. It's fake. I'm telling you, it's just fake news. And you know what? You wouldn't even have to know. You can say that automatically without even knowing. It's like, it's obvious. It's common sense. Just a few thousand feet, as an example, from where we stand right now on the other side of the border, it's one of the most dangerous cities in the world, Juarez, Mexico. Well, the people at Juarez agree. Yet, thanks to a powerful border wall in El Paso, Texas, it's one of America's safest cities now. Now listen to this. So, you're talking a few feet away, right? A few feet. Got a wall. It's a few feet away. Last year, Juarez had 1,200 murders. El Paso, right next door, a few feet away, had 23 murders. That's not good either. But 23 compared to 1,200. Walls work. Actually, there's nothing like them for what we're talking about. We want to stop drugs. We want to stop traffickers. We want to stop criminals from coming in. Walls save lives. Walls save tremendous numbers of lives. The biggest proponents of open borders are rich liberals and wealthy donors. These are hypocrites who oppose security for you while living their entire lives. I do too, to be honest with you. I'm guilty. I'm guilty. I also live behind walls, okay? They live behind walls and gates and they have guards all over the place. Me too, because I want to be safe and I want to make America safe, if you don't mind. So security should not belong only to the rich and to the powerful. Safety is the birthright of every American, which is why we must finish the wall. It's happening. Because walls are not immoral, as it was said. Human trafficking is immoral. Drug peddling is immoral. Child smuggling is immoral. Sanctuary cities that get Americans killed, they're immoral. Open borders are dangerous and immoral. My administration has put forward a compromise that really is a compromise, and I hate to even compromise on things like this, but it's showing common sense, it's compassionate, and it's going to solve our problem, and the cost is a fraction. When you look at the drugs that are pouring across from Mexico, if it stopped a small percentage, and it won't, it'll stop a large percentage, it would pay for itself in a matter of weeks. That's the kind of numbers you're talking about. A matter of weeks. And by the way, I hate to say this because we have a very good relationship, but Mexico had the highest number of killings that they've ever had. Almost 40,000 people were murdered in Mexico. Mexico's not too far away, and we need to take care of our people, and we're going to do that, and it's happening a lot faster than anybody thought, and I love that sign. Thank you. What we're proposing includes humanitarian assistance, drug detection at our ports and everywhere else, closing legal loopholes, which is a big problem, and plans for a smart, strategic, see-through steel barrier or wall. Let's go to wall. This wall will be built in the areas identified by border agents as having the greatest need, while safely directing people and commerce to our many lawful ports of entry, which we're beefing up in every way. Structurally, we're beefing up the ports of entry, and mechanically, we have equipment now that can spot drugs. It's incredible stuff. It's expensive. It's incredible. By the way, there is nothing better than a good old-fashioned German Shepherd. It's hard to believe, right? It's true. You know, I was with the people, and they're showing me this incredible computerized stuff and where it goes. I said, could I, because Secret Service took me out to the place and they were showing me these German Shepherds. They're unbelievable. They'll run past all these empty boxes, and one of the boxes has drugs in it deep down in a box. And it comes to a screeching halt, barking at them every time. So I asked the people that sell the machinery at a lot of money. I said, let me ask you a question. This stuff is incredible. I'm really impressed. How does it compare to a German Shepherd? Guy looks at me and goes, sir, honestly, it's not as good. Can you believe it? German Shepherd. Certain types of dogs. Pretty good. You do love your dogs, don't you? I wouldn't mind having one, honestly, but I don't have any time. I don't have time. How would I look walking a dog on the White House lawn? Would that be? Right? Sort of not for, I don't know, it doesn't, I don't feel good. Feels a little phony to me. A lot of people say, oh, you should get a dog. Why? It's good politically. I said, look, that's not the relationship I have with my people. We want to have, yeah, Obama had a dog, you're right. Both parties should come together to finally create a safe and lawful system of immigration. The American people have waited long enough. We must secure the border, pass Kate's Law, end catch and release, shut down sanctuary cities. You know, we need Democrat votes to do it. Deport criminal aliens and keep the coyotes and traffickers and drug dealers the hell out of our country, please. And the Democrats also need to confirm the more than 300 highly qualified nominees who are sitting in the Senate waiting for confirmation, people that have given up their lives to work in the Trump administration, and the Democrats aren't approving them. It's a record. It's total obstruction. It's a record in the history of our country. There has never been. Some people left their job a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, to become an ambassador or to work in one of our many great agencies, and we can't get Schumer and his friends to approve them. It's total obstruction. There's never been anything like it. Very, very unfair. Very unfair to these people. In many cases, seriously, they've left jobs, and they're waiting and waiting and waiting. They're slow walking every single one of them. It's a disgrace. As we fight to protect our borders, we must also protect our newfound prosperity. My administration has taken the toughest ever action to crack down on years of China's abuse, and its trade practices have been very unfair. And I have a lot of respect for President Xi, but he's representing China, and I'm representing the United States. So that's it. We're also replacing one of the worst deals ever made, probably the worst trade deal ever done, although I happen to think that the WTO is not so good either. We're replacing NAFTA with a brand new U.S.-Mexico-Canada agreement that everybody is loving. Got to get Congress to approve it. We got to get Congress to approve it. We'll get it, I think, done. I mean, there's such obstruction in Congress. You know, they won't even do things that are good for our country now. They would rather have Trump have a loss than get something that's so good for our country. Our farmers are happy. Everybody's happy. And it's going to be jobs. You know what it does? It stops companies from moving out. It makes it very hard economically for companies to say, hey, thanks a lot. We're firing everybody. We're moving to Mexico. Makes it very, very hard. You know, that's been a bone of contention for me for many years. I've seen 25% and more of our automobile business move to Mexico. And it's not going to happen anymore. Not going to happen anymore. Unless they want to pay nice, big, fat tariffs to send their cars back into this country. We've achieved, and by the way, tariffs have had an incredible effect. Just ask the folks in China, how are we doing with tariffs? You ask. And you ask, how are we doing in our negotiations? The fact is, and I say it openly, either they treat us fairly or they have to pay for the privilege of coming in and taking our wealth and taking our jobs. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. And if you look back at our country when we were very rich, when we had no debt, when we had no problems economically, you take a look. 1888, the great tariff debate. You know what the debate was about? Our country had so much money, they had to debate what the hell to do with all the money, because tariffs were bringing in a fortune into the United States. So, at a minimum, countries are negotiating with us very seriously because of the fact that they don't want to have to pay to come in and take advantage of our country. That's at a minimum. Check it out. 1888. Have the press check it out. They'll say, Donald Trump said 1888. We've achieved the largest decline in drug prices in 46 years, prescription drugs, and I'm asking Congress to work with me to make prescription drugs affordable for every American family. We just got the largest decrease in drug prices. Think of that. And it's not easy. It's not easy. Because we have middlemen that take care of a lot of people for a lot of years, these middlemen, and the drug companies, but even worse, the middlemen. And we're cutting the middlemen out. They're not going to like me very much. They made a lot of money. But think of that. The first time in 46 years, and now we're going to phase 3. We did 1 statutorily. We did 2 statutorily. Now we go to phase 3. We're getting your drug prices down. We're embarking on bold initiatives to defeat AIDS. Who knew that? We have medicines now that work wonders on AIDS. We're looking to be AIDS-free in not many years as a country, and maybe help also the world. The world. So we want to defeat AIDS, and we want to defeat childhood cancer. We've made tremendous strides. Tremendous strides. In the Middle East, our brave warriors have liberated virtually 100% of ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Now, you don't hear that from these people. Now, we've taken back soon. It'll be announced soon, maybe over the next week, maybe less. But it'll be announced very soon. We'll have 100%. When I took over this country, it was a mess. And if I wouldn't have been elected, you know, I have so many people. I was just walking up, and every time it happens, Sir, thank you. Thank you very much. This guy, he's like a monster. No, it's true. These people. This guy, he's like a monster. He's like this monster football, a big, strong guy. He says to me, he says, thank you very much. I don't know what they're saying, but that's okay. No, he's this big, strong guy, and he's crying. And he said, I'm walking up, and it happens all the time. Thank you very much, Mr. President. I said, for what? He said, you've saved our country. Our country was going in the wrong direction. You've saved our country. Thank you. I've had so many people say that. So many people. You know, the truth is, though, I didn't save our country. We're now heading in the right direction. It's very tough because we have so many things we're fighting, including these people, but so many people that we're fighting. So many people that are either foolish or ill-intentioned. But, you know, I didn't save our country. You know who saved our country? You saved our country. You saved our country. God. Because it's nothing like this has ever happened before. And you know what? The world is watching. And when prime ministers and when presidents and kings and queens, they talk to me, they say, congratulations on what's happened with your economy, Mr. President. It's incredible. They're emulating what we're doing. They can't believe it. So we continue to decimate the remnants, because there are always going to be remnants. We can take the area, the land. We'll soon have 100%. But there are always remnants. They get out. They wrap themselves in bombs. They're crazy. They're lunatics. But you're always going to have that. But we want to bring now, get 100%. It was so bad when I took over. It was going the opposite direction. Syria, we want to bring our troops back home. It's time. It's time. It's time. And thanks to the extraordinary service of our military in Afghanistan, 19 years we're in Afghanistan. We may now be able to seek a political resolution that, frankly, they've wanted to talk about for a long time. We've hit them very hard. But it's been 19 years. Think of that, 19 years. We spend more on military in Afghanistan, $50 billion a year, than most countries spend on their entire country, health care, education, everything. We spend more than they do. It's time to start thinking smart for our country. We want to build our country. We want to spend money in our country. We want to build our roads and highways and bridges and dams. And last month, the United States recognized the legitimate government of Venezuela and condemned the socialist brutality of the Maduro regime. Everywhere socialism has been, everywhere it's been implemented, it's produced poverty, misery, repression, and despair. You take a look, no matter where. Yet there are those trying to implement socialism right here in the United States. So I again say to you, and I say it for the world to hear, America will never be a socialist country. Never, never. We're born free, we will live free, and we will die free. We will always be free. Each of us here tonight is united by the same timeless values. We believe in the American Constitution and our great rule of law. We believe in the dignity of work and the sanctity of life. We believe that faith and family, not government and bureaucracy, are the center of the American way. We believe in religious liberty. the right to free speech, and the right to keep and bear arms. We believe that children should be taught to love our country, honor our incredible history, and always respect our great American flag. We believe that the first duty of government is to be loyal to its citizens, and we live by the words of our national motto that we are going to keep. We'll never change this. In God we trust. These are the beliefs, traditions, and principles that bind us together as citizens, as neighbors, as great patriots. These are the values that unite people all across the great state of Texas. From Houston to Austin, from Dallas to El Paso, from the Red River to the Rio Grande, the Lone Star State embodies the spirit of independence like maybe no other place anywhere in the world. And you have always embraced the cause of American freedom like no one else. This is the state where William Travis, James Bowie, and Davy Crockett made their last stand at the Alamo. This is the state where a small band of patriots at the Battle of Gonzales, armed with a single cannon, stared down a foreign powerful army and declared, "Come and take it. Come and take it. Come on, take it." And Texas is the state where generations of farmers, ranchers, oil workers, and pioneers helped build up the most extraordinary nation in all of human history. That's what we are. We were losing track. We didn't lose track anymore. We're straight on that track. Now, just like generations of Texas patriots who came before, you are going to make your stand. That's what we've done. We've made our stand, and we've made it together. This is a big group of millions and millions of people that have come together like never before in our history. This has never happened before. And we've come for safety, for sovereignty, and for the sacred rights given to us by the hand of Almighty God. We are one united movement, one united people, and one United States of America. And together, with the proud and incredible and great people of the state of Texas, we will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Texas. Thank you.